Hi everyone. So just wanted to revisit what we just want to sort of revisit and clarify and demonstrate how we want you all to be managing your data and documentation of this project, and by sort of setting up a sample repo and showing you what we want you to put where. And if you have any questions about this, of course, you can always email us or post to Laura. Happy to offer clarifications. But hopefully, this will get to some of the sort of most fundamental questions. So what we want to do essentially is the document that you have done, your sort of fleshed out pitch document, is going to be the main README for your main folder, that is for your main repo that each team has had created on that shared GitHub organization. That's a private repo, which means that you don't need to worry about anybody seeing it. I mean, it'll be visible to other people in the class, but it won't be visible to anyone outside the class. In fact, that group itself is not visible to people who aren't a member of it. So you don't need to worry about that. So as an example, I'm going to start by, and obviously you would want your repo name to match your project, but I'm just going to call this final project sample. Okay, and in here we're going to do some basic stuff. So for each article that I have, or each visualization, I'm going to create an article folder, not in there. So in my version, I'm going to pretend I just have 2. Obviously, most of you have 3 or 4. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and take some sample files, right, because I've probably been working on this already, and I'm going to put them in there into each of these. I'm also going to create a README in my repo, and so I'm going to touch readme.md. You can do this either here or you can do it on GitHub. It's up to you. But the contents of this README should be your pitch. Okay, so just to reiterate that, that's what we want to see in there is whatever the text of your pitch was. Now, in my case, I don't have a pitch, so I'm going to use some nice lorem ipsum text from the interwebs, and just go ahead and chuck that into my README. Right, okay, so I've saved that. Now, let's pretend that I'm done with that for now. I've put in the text of my I've copied and pasted the text of the pitch document in there, right? So that's a main area where, as things change for each of you on your individual, visualizations or stories, right, you should put progress updates in there. So we should see, if there's a paragraph that says, the paragraph that describes the story, then, as time goes on, you should be adding, updating, amending that to reflect how the actual reporting is affecting the story, right? Things that have happened. You have contact lists in there. You want to go ahead and say, called so-and-so, heard back from them about this, here are my notes, et cetera, et cetera. So the other thing that I want to do is, so for each article, if each article has a visualization, then I want to also have in each article folder, I also want to have a README. And that README is going to contain the close, middle, reach, okay? So we have 2 sets of READMEs. We've got one at the top level, which has the sort of entire description, the entire project pitch and description items. That's going to include, obviously, your competitive coverage, what publication you're targeting, all of that. The README inside each folder, right? So each folder should correspond to a story or visualization or both. Each folder should have also a README that's going to contain information about the material there. At this point, mostly what it is each one is going to include the close, middle, reach scenarios that you turned in this week, right? Or if those need to be amended, you're going to amend them and add them as part of the README. Then with each of those for next week, you're going to add links to images of your paper prototypes that's sort of articulating and fleshing out and visualizing exactly what those close, middle, reach scenarios will look like. Okay, so a few different pieces there, but most of this is content you already have. You just need to start adding it to these repos. So again, I'm going to come into Aptana. I'm going to open up in Article 1. I have a README now. So I'm going to open that up and I'm going to say, here is my README for Article 1 and its visualization, close, description of close middle. Okay, I think we all get the idea here. Guess what the next one's going to be? Description of each scenario. Okay, so there's my README. I'm now going to commit all of this, and I'm going to link it to a repo on GitHub, and then we're going to get into how I can actually link to images in here so that you can see them as they so that we'll be able to see them when we look into your individual project folders, or into your individual story folders. We're going to be able to see right away, okay, this is the close, this is what it looks like, here's the middle, this is what that's going to look like when it's done, etc., etc. Okay, so first thing to do, of course, is I'm going to get out of there. And I haven't actually done anything. I haven't created a Git repo here, so I'm going to say git init, git add a. So I've added all the files. That's the shortcut for add everything. Git commit. That's to add everything, which again, we're okay with you using the adding everything only in this initial stage, okay? Everything after this, if you're using old files, that's fine, but everything after this needs to be committed at the individual level so that we can keep, so that you can keep track of what was changed where at various times. So git commit A, and the message is going to be initial commit. Okay, so you see everything went in there. I got my main README, Article 1, Article 2. Article 2 doesn't yet have a README, but that's okay for now. Realistically, each of you is going to have one of these folders to sort of maintain. So now, of course, I'm going to go to GitHub and create my repo. So I strongly suggest that you all complete this process as a group first, that you kind of create a sample, you kind of create a structure, and that each of you then clones it down and starts adding files to it. And that way you won't, you won't risk kind of being in different places and dealing with lots of merge conflicts and issues. So I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to call this Final Project Sample. This is an example set of files for organizing and documenting final projects. And I'm going to leave this public, of course. I'm not going to add a README. I'm not actually going to add a git ignore in this case, but of course you would be welcome to. And I'm going to create the repository. Okay. So now I'm going to use this link to say git remote add origin, add the link. Okay, and then we say git push origin master. Oops. See if that still works. Okay, so if everything worked out, here's my initial commit, right? So here is your complete pitch document. If I go into Article 1, I can see here's the README, description, etc., etc. Okay, I will show you links. So this Daring Fireball is this is a page that I'll link to from the main README. This shows you how to do things in Markdown. We don't expect you to get fancy with the formatting here, but it is going to help us add things like images. So how would I add images to this, right? So I've done my paper prototypes. They're lovely. I took a photo of them maybe on my phone. I've sent them to myself, downloaded them to my computer, which I'm going to mimic by using, I'm going to download a Creative Commons image from the internet, this lovely image of the standard deviation. I'm going to pop this right into my Article 1. I'm going to actually create a folder called images. It's not a bad idea to do this, especially if you are going to end up with several. So there's my images folder, and now I want to make sure to add this. So I'm going to say git status, and I'm going to say git add Article 1 images. Did that. Git commit. Git commit Article 1. and the message is going to be added images folder and one image. Okay, and I can just push this up. All right, so the trick here is just to see how when we add images to GitHub, what happens. Often we don't want to add like a whole ton of really huge images, but for the purpose of this project, it's fine. So in this case, what we want to do is actually, we're going to, having clicked on this, right, we're here, we're going to click into this, and we're actually going to click on raw, and there's something going on with my Chrome. It doesn't want to show me this, but I'm just going to use this URL anyway, and I checked it against in Firefox, right, and we can see that this actually should bring in just the plain image. So not sure exactly what Chrome's deal is with this, but that's not going to stop us from adding it to the README. And the objective here is that we want the README of the Article 1 folder to show this image, right? So we can have the text describing what it should be right up there with the actual image itself. So all I'm going to do is flip back over to Aptana here, and I'm going to add, I'm going to say, so how do I add an image? I do exclamation point, and then this is the sort of the alt text. So this is an image of my close design, okay? And then in round parentheses, I put the actual URL. So I clicked that raw thing because that is the sort of actual URL as opposed to the GitHub page that also shows it in my repo. So you're just going to click raw, take the, copy the URL out of the navigation bar and put it in there. And then I'm going to just do another git status and say git commit added image link to image for close to README, and this is going to be article 1/README. Okay, and again, if I flip back over here, what I should hopefully see is now, right, here's the image of my close scenario. So that's exactly what we want to see is in each of your, repo, your sort of overall repos for next week, right? So I have my main final project repo that has a single README, which is the pitch document that you all submitted. Then for each of the articles or visualizations, you can have them separately if you like. It's really up to you. So this might be visualization 1 instead of article 1. I'm going to add whatever files relate to that visualization. I'm going to also create a README file and an images folder, and the README is going to, for the moment, have the close, middle, reach scenarios that you submitted this week, or if you've amended them, you can submit the amended versions. And then when you finish your paper prototypes for next week, you're going to take a quick camera shot of those, send them to yourself, put them in the images folder, and link them here, right? So that we can see very directly how the description of your close scenario is expressed visually. Same with middle, same with reach. Right, so this, you may have more than one image if you need to show, like, for example, if there's a rollover, maybe you're going to have what it looks like on mobile, things like that. So you might have multiple images associated with each of these scenarios by the time you finish your paper prototypes. But this is going to be the sort of basic structure, and then of course you would continue to work on the actual initial version in the code, using your regular file and commit process. So we'll also be talking about this in class today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the lore, send us via email, but this is just gives you an example of what we're looking for. Great, so looking forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great weekend.